Hello and welcome to MSE 402. It's Module 6 or Week 6. It's your last module, and this module is going to encompass what we refer to as the closing phase. That's that last phase that we will have to complete so that we can close a project. So let's jump in and take a peek at what that looks like. So we've umbrellaed a series of skills, activities, and I'll call it different process steps that are required to be able to close a project. And in addition to that, we've put in two other areas. One is going to be a final presentation for you and your team, and in addition to that, a final report that's going to be put together, a project report. So those, in addition to the peer review, covering a couple other areas, best practices that you're going to capture and lessons learned, are going to be required for you to be able to complete this week. So you can see that we're coming down the home stretch. We've covered all the activities in the model up to this point, with the exception of the bottom ones here. Let's go ahead and go into our weekly module. So what we can do is we can show you everything that's required in Week 6 or Module 6 as we get ready to close your project. So you can see that my recorded lecture is on project closing. It's that project closing phase, all the elements that are required to close a project. It's got a really clean, concise, I'll call it end-to-end capture for you on how we cap off finishing up the closing phase. Now, many times in many types of engineering companies, you're going to find that there are audits that are required in addition to what we've set up. You're going to get an exposure to that in the PMBOK book when we start talking about the readings that are required this week there. But for you, you've got specific assignments that are required for you to be able to close the project for this week. Let's go ahead and take a peek at the Zoom Live lecture presentation this week. It is going to take and introduce a new element to you, which is Agile project management. So for this week, on Wednesday from 6 to 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, I'm going to walk you through an introduction into Agile project management. What does that look like? What would be different? You know, what are the different types of things? Burn down plans, you know, sprints. There's going to be new terminology I'm going to introduce you to, and it's going to show you that in addition to the traditional way that projects are being run, there are some new advanced methodologies, some alternate areas based on lean and agile that are very, very beneficial for you, and we're going to get you those. That's going to be a great opportunity for you to understand agile and lean project management in this perspective. Now, finally, it's Week 6. The ECS PMO has another message for you. It's a great opportunity. In addition to that, it's going to provide some challenges. So you've got an opportunity for the Week 6 team leader, and this may be the point where you start to rotate the role around and somebody gets to do it for the second time. Some of you may have teams that have 16 members in it, though, and it's a necessity for you to actually use that person to make sure that you've got all the team members get a chance to be the team leader. We want everyone to have that experience, being the project manager and seeing a project from front to back. That's the best part of this type of simulation, is that you actually get to see all the elements. Everything that we started with in the proposal working its way all the way down to getting to the point where we close a project. Because many times you're going to find that in an engineering environment, you may be used on one section of a project. You will not be involved in the proposal, or if you're used in the proposal, you may not be used in the execution of it, or the closing phase is just a handful of people that try to get it across the finish line. So remember to respond to our request for information and let us know from a project's perspective what your desire would be. Now, this is the final week, and once again, the Project Management book by Larson and Gray has got some great information for you on how to close a project just from a strategic standpoint. What are the strategies? What are the things that are really important to remember? How do we keep track of trying to get us across the finish line? And then once again, the PMBOK guide is going to talk about the components necessary from a process standpoint. This is going to have more information for you also on audits. So required auditing that may be necessary for you to be able to close the project. You're going to get a really good glean of what that looks like between the two textbooks. Okay? Also, The threaded discussions this week are going to be on project reflection. And by reflection, what I mean is looking back at week 1 all the way up to where you're at and saying, what did we learn? What was our experience? That reflection process on being able to understand and summarize in a positive way what has happened to us. So that's what the threaded discussions are going to be for you for this week. You've got 2 of them. Remember, you want to make sure you get 2 discussion threads in and 3 posts on each one on 3 separate days to get full credit. We definitely want you to get full credit. Now, there's a couple different activities this week from an ECS standpoint. So the 2 big ones that you've got in front of you are going to be capturing what we refer to as best practices. We've got a template out there for you. I want to make sure you go through and from a team perspective, look at the best practices that you could recommend to ECS. What did you learn that you think should be incorporated into a best practice? In addition to that, you've got the lessons learned template. So the combination of these 2, they work in conjunction. You're responsible for taking the templates and filling both of these out. That information puts you to a point where you can now make sure that you cap off the project with 2 other pieces of information for us. One is going to be an APA format project report document. You're going to see a template out there. It's got everything established for you from a rubric standpoint. You'll understand exactly what you should be covering and writing, but it is an APA format academic document. I need you to remember to follow ADA, or not ADA, but APA compliance. In addition to that, you have a final project presentation. We're going to be covering our presentations on the Wednesday Zoom meeting. It'll be half of the meeting will be covering your final presentation. So you'll actually do a live presentation that we will get an opportunity to see. We want to give you the opportunity to actually walk through that live, and in addition to that, there'll be a series of questions that I'll be asking you. So the final project presentation needs to be in at least 24 hours in advance. 12 at the least, but I've got to be able to review it just to make sure that it covers what we need to cover. Those are going to be the team-based ECS projects that are required for you. Now, in addition to that, you have an individual project that's due for the team leader. As always, you've got that team leadership report, and then you have what we refer to as a peer review. There's an ECS peer review. You will actually go in and you will put the names of all of the team members other than yourself into this, and you're going to rank and rate them, giving them an evaluation from both a qualitative and a quantitative perspective. You must fill all the information out on all of your team members, not yourself, just your team members, and submit that as an individual assignment to get full credit. Okay? It's going to be a big week. There's a lot going on in week 6. We're trying not to capture you at a certain point and saying we're piling on. We kind of let off the gas a little last week. That risk management plan and communication plan kind of set you up. But you're going to see that all the components, everything that you've put together each week is built itself into something that you're going to be able to use in your final presentation and your final report for us. So we're down to the home stretch. This is it. Week 6 is almost over. Congratulations on getting to this point. The ECS company is excited to see what your presentations are going to be and to read your report. And we're looking forward to you finishing up the MSE 402 modules. So congratulations on getting into week 6. Let's get started and move forward. I'll see you soon, teams. Goodbye.